Welcome to Soulhubbers podcast and episode 33. Andrew and I were fighting as to who interviewed today's guests. He was instrumental in bringing us together, and now we're all close friends, so we thought it would be interesting to have a three-way conversation. Lloyd Camp has been in our life for over 15 years. Can you believe that?
I've forgotten that I was instrumental in bringing you together.
A story for later. We met through my brother Perry and would meet every Saturday morning for parkrun and coffee. He and his wife Sue are more regular park runners now than I have been since I've been only reached about 100, and you guys have done at least 400.
Sue's done 400.
Okay, how many are you on, Lloyd?
340 something.
Come on, Lloyd.
Yeah, I know.
What's wrong with you?
So you can already get a sense of his dedication and love of collecting numbers. He's an author of 3 books, Africa Bites, Confessions of an African Safari Guide, and his new release, Paddling the Dragon, all available on Amazon, all of which we'd love to dip into today. He's originally from South Africa, as you can hear in his accent, has travelled extensively around the world, particularly in Africa, where he regularly returns to guide guests looking for that African safari experience. He's got a wicked sense of humour and is an incredible storyteller. He has hosted soul walks for us, and during the pandemic, we all gathered around the CAMPfire, a virtual gathering online, and listened to the tales that he told around the bush. Incredible, memorable evenings with people from across the world dialing in to hear about his adventures with the big 5, but equally the small 5, and not to mention the interesting people he encountered along the way. Lloyd is a real gift of creating enchanting stories out of his love of nature and interesting people. He's our very own David Attenborough.
And from Richmond too.
So thanks, Lloyd, for joining us before you head off on your next adventure.
Has anyone called you the colon of David?
No, that's a big compliment. It's unlikely to happen, I think. I'm not old enough.
Yeah. So the thing that struck me this morning when we were thinking about doing this episode with you is that we actually share a common thing between the three of us. And that is that we both take people on journeys. You take them out into the outer wilderness, and we take them into their inner wilderness to kind of face their fears and their demons and their challenges.
Yeah, the true wilderness, the wild wilderness.
So I guess, basically there must be an element of this in it for you when you're taking people out into safari, but I'm kind of keen to know what inspired you initially to start taking people into the wild and being a safari guide.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit like doctors having fathers who are doctors, that type of thing. So my dad and my grandfather were both very involved in wildlife conservation, farming, and from as early as I can remember, we were taken to game reserves, to the Natal Drakensberg, birding expeditions, just anything to do with hiking in the Natal Drakensberg, anything to do with wildlife, every single opportunity, every holiday, camping. So I just grew up with that. But it doesn't always translate that way, because my brother is much less involved in wildlife than I am, and my sister isn't involved at all. But we're all there at the same time.
Do you remember a resistance from them? Did you all enjoy it at the time? Or were they
we loved it, yeah. I mean, we got family pictures from the Berg, all 4 of us, or 5 of us hiking together. But it was especially the game reserve stuff. I just absolutely loved that. I used to cry. I remember I'd be like 8 or 9 years old, and we'd have to leave after 2 weeks in the game reserve, and it was just the end of the world for me. Just having to leave. And I still get that feeling whenever I'm in the bush. I just love being there, just being surrounded by it.
Do you think that's partly because you do go and then come back, like you come to the UK? Or
you mean I don't get jaded?
Yeah.
So. I'm not just originally from South Africa. I'm still from South Africa.
What is the balance? What is the balance of your time here in the UK? Not,
Yeah. It's about 50-50.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, look, Sue and I managed game reserves, not game reserves, but lodges in game reserves for some years in Botswana and Namibia, before we came to London. And it's unfortunate that even when you're living in paradise, you can get a bit tired. Not tired of the paradise, you just get tired of living in it, managing people is what's exhausting, always. And I do remember, and it was ages ago, the year 2000, in a place called Mombo Camp, which is in Botswana. It's a major premier camp in Botswana, in the Okavango Delta, and I was the manager there. And I remember one night, after a particularly exhausting session with quite demanding safari guests, walking back, and there were two leopards on the walkway in front of me, and they, instead of just being enamored by this, I was annoyed because they're stopping me from getting to bed. And I remember that very clearly and thinking,
Did you go like, shoot?
yeah, I chased them off. I told them to footsack. Which is a useful South African expression you can use in many circumstances.
We're going to come into your South African terms later.
But I just remember thinking at that time I needed to take a break from it because I wasn't appreciating it enough. So you're right. So the balance between living in London and now in Twickenham and everything that London affords, but also then going back for 5 to 6 months of the year and being back in Africa is a perfect balance for me.
Cool. And I guess, just touching on that sort of responsibility of looking after guests in Africa, I think in one of your books you talk about the sort of two truths. One is the sort of the making the safaris enjoyable, and the success of the safaris are very much dependent on the personality of the guide.
Right.
And you have an incredible personality, and we can see why you've been so successful. But the other very big thing is about the safety, people's actual safety and their perception of being safe, and that's your responsibility as well. Yeah. So, like, how do you keep your cool? What we obviously, Soulhubbers is all around well-being and your mental health. So what do you do when you're out there in the heat of the African bush, and what do you do to stay cool, in inverted commas, and keep your clients cool?
So it's really easy if the people arrive full of enthusiasm and they want to learn from you, if they arrive with preconceived ideas about what safari is and then try to lever that into what the actuality is, that makes it tricky. It's like everything, you got to meet me halfway. I mean, if there's never a problem with dealing with folk on safari if they're eager to learn and to listen so that they understand what is safe and what's on and what's not. Then the job becomes easy. But you're always it's like everything, you're going to have people. I mean, I was a teacher at one stage, so I in Durban. Which I really enjoyed, but obviously there were some personalities in class which were trickier than others, and I had to adjust to that.
I guess that was good training.
Yeah, it was. And self-discipline and self-control.
Different animals.
Right, different kind of wildlife. So, but it's the same with guiding. So, you're dealing with so many different kinds of people, and you really have to learn how to manage yourself and to manage them. But the reality is that almost everybody is perfectly easy to manage out there. I mean, generally people are on holiday and they want to learn, and safari is a big deal for them.
What's the biggest misconception that you normally deal with, that people come along and they've got this romantic view about safaris, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, hell.
It goes around safety. So everybody seems to think that safari is a potentially dangerous thing to do because of television. There's lots of stuff on TV about snakes and hippos and crocodiles and man-eating lions and all sorts of rubbish, because these things are occasionally true. But and so they have, because most of the people that I deal with live in very safe environments, it's quite hard for them to make the adjustment to an African scenario where there's wildlife right outside their tent. They can never understand why the wildlife isn't trying to kill them. They've got this like it really annoys me from time to time, and that's one of the things I've got to remember is, because it's not a real fear. It is a real fear, but it's not really going to happen. Mm-hmm. But fears are real, whether they're imagined or not. So people are always concerned about safety, and I've got to help them to relax and just understand that actually they're perfectly fine. I've been doing it all my life, and I'm still here.
Didn't you want to tell us a story about, I don't know where they were from, it doesn't really matter, but about, I think they asked you, where do you put the animals when it rains? I mean, there's that kind of level of awareness as well. Was that a true story, or did you just make that up?
Yeah, people have these very strange misconceptions about safari. So it's very hard if you come from a first world environment to imagine that there's just wild animals out there doing what they've always done, and that we are, we're just there to visit. It's not a zoo situation. it's quite hard to make that adjustment because we're used to controlling animals. I mean, even here in Richmond Park, where we are, there's 500 deer in there, but it's all a highly controlled situation, and that's what people sort of become accustomed to. Or the zoo scenario, or a drive-through safari park from the safety of your own car. But when you're out there in what we do, we've just helicoptered into a wild situation where the animals are there of all kinds, and they've been there forever. They're not fed, they're not bred, they're not tamed, they're just there. And we drop in and we're amongst them. And it's the most wonderful thing. It's incredible. That's what wilderness really is.
And that must be the real buzz of sharing all your knowledge or wisdom and introducing people to this new world.
Yeah, it is. But for them to sort of understand that, we don't release them from cages when the sun comes up. I once made a joke with a woman when I was at Victoria Falls. I said to her, "It's just as well we got here in time because they closed the waterfall at 6:30. And she took me seriously. So then I had to backtrack and go, no, it's just... So sometimes I do make an assumption that people understand my world.
Your humor.
And my humor, misplaced as it may be sometimes. Irony can be misinterpreted sometimes, and you have to be a bit careful about stuff like that. But luckily, I also get to travel in the United States and in other parts, first world places in the UK and Europe. And so I've got a reasonably good understanding of what people's perceptions of the wilderness might be. So I can make those adjustments.
But it is guiding that you love, right? You didn't end up working in conservation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't study it. So when I went to university, I studied history and English. Hence the writing, that's why I love writing.
Yeah.
And I've always loved those since school days. I was never much into biology and science and stuff. And yet, I became a guide at Mala Mala Game Reserve. But that was about the opportunity to be long-term in a game reserve in that environment. So I've never felt the need to understand the minutiae of the environment in which I am. I'm not a scientist in that sort of way. So basically, as a guide, if you don't like people, you haven't got a chance. You have to really like dealing with people.
Yeah. So is it about sharing it with people?
Yeah,
is it about educating them and just seeing their
so,
own experiences?
Yeah, as a guide, you're the key. You're unlocking the experience because they don't know, right? So you have to tell them what things mean, when things are happening, what it all means. You have to you're interpreting it for them, and opening up that world, and explaining it, and bringing them along the journey with you. And some of the journeys are just short. I mean, it's just a game drive for the day, or it might be a short walk. But you have to. It's like turning the leaves of a book for them, and then that gains momentum, and people start to get into it. But you also have people, I mean, equally valid, who come out, do a week safari once in their lives, have a wonderful time. They're not enraptured by it. They enjoy it very much. They've ticked it off a list. It's absolutely fine. They're very nice people, easy to deal with. They have a great time, and they never come back to Africa again. They'll do another holiday. They'll go to the Caribbean next time, and then it'll be Iceland, and then it'll be something else.
Yeah,
perfectly fine. But you've got to know who you're dealing with. Sort of try and get an idea of what they want from you.
So that transition from teaching to guiding, was it by chance, or were you like, okay?
So basically, I became a teacher because that was the way for me to go to university. I was able to get a government teaching loan to pay for my studies, and then I had to work it off. And I did that at Glenwood High School in Durban, and I loved the environment of that school. It was fantastic. And I liked the teaching, but I had no money. I was permanently broke, basically, just like teachers anywhere in the world. But I did enjoy it enough to stay. And then a cousin who was working at Mala Mala Game Reserve at that time, and who knows me very well and has been on many of my early adventures, was in those game reserve experiences with me as a kid, phoned me and said, why don't you come and give this a go? And I hadn't thought about it until I didn't think it was possible because I didn't do science at university. Turned out science wasn't what was needed.
Is that the route that most guides take?
Yeah, most guides do a degree in biology, conservation, nature conservation, something like that. Maybe agriculture. And then they will go into guiding, and they'll often do it only for a couple of years maybe, and then go into what they would regard as a real career. Whereas I just kept going and guiding.
That's kind of like something, like I want to discuss with you is this, Carmen, often we talk about, following the path that's traveled,
Yeah.
and following your passion, following your dreams, and trusting that that is going to be okay. It's going to work out.
Yeah.
And being self-employed is not an easy path,
No, I mean, yep, you're right. There's nothing there at the end of every month.
No.
But, and I didn't plan it. So I never sort of saw myself, although I loved it as a kid, I never sort of thought I was going to be this. I didn't see myself writing books or being in safari tourism.
But you've always been quite clear about what you love and what your passions are.
Yeah.
And, that.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to be able to follow my passions in terms of, so I'm very happy with the way it's all ended up. It's just that there was no 5-year or 10-year plan.
Yeah. You also have a lot of passions.
Yeah.
You're very passionate person.
Yeah.
I say you're pretty lucky. Some people kind of go,
yeah,
I like doing, or
yeah.
I'm not really that bothered about it. When you're any adventure, whether it's
I love
canoeing.
adventures, yeah.
Yeah, but then also the
And
writing
sports.
or exploring and people. So, it's pretty full life in terms of.
And that's the same
things
thing
that
about
you do.
writing the books. I had to write about stuff that I wanted to. It's exciting to sit down and write the story. There's no hardship in writing the story. It's not it's a very easy thing to do.
So your first book, Africa Bites, was pre-lockdown.
That was, I seem to be on 5-year plans. That was 2015. Then the second was 2020, and this is 2025. So every 5 years. No, but the first one I wrote in 100 days, pre-lockdown, 2015. Yeah.
You've been storing up all these stories. I mean, I'm always amazed how much you remember.
Oh, it's because I tell them so often. So, there's so many stories. I mean, I think there must be, I don't know, 120 different stories of those 2 books, short stories. But those are stories that I tell all the time. They just come up in conversation. And that's actually the art of guiding, is as a guide, you are not a scientist.
You're an entertainer.
You don't think of yourself as an entertainer, but you are that. You definitely
narrator.
Yeah, and people are expecting stories from you.
Well, you're spending a lot of time sitting waiting, right?
Well,
or hanging around.
Yeah,
in the bar or.
So sitting in the
Jeep
bar,
or wherever, right?
or sitting around the campfire with a whiskey.
And I guess you're interpreting as well. People are not understanding necessarily the relationship between why that does that. Like, why is that warthog doing that thing? Or and so you are able to explain the whys, and people love to know the whys behind things.
Yeah, so I mean, there are more stories than I've written down, and sometimes when I'm guiding, I remember another story, and I think, I should have put that in the book. But that project's done. I'm not going to edit a new story back into it. It's fine as it is. No, but people love stories. Everybody loves stories. We just love listening to stories. So I was encouraged actually by friends, other guides, who had written their own wildlife stories, and I was convinced that I could do the same better.
and are they?
And I've told them both. My stories are a lot better than theirs.
Have they read your book?
No, I made sure I sent them to them. I said, here's some proper wildlife stories for you to read.
So is the incentive there to share the stories, or is it to promote Africa, or is it just purely because you love writing?
It was never
and
done for business reasons, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it does promote. I mean, I still generate some business from people who've read the book and then get hold of me. No, it was done just because I always wanted to write a book. I love all those stories, and people kept on saying, why don't you just put them down, because they're entertaining, and so I just
and
I had the time to do it.
And now you're invited onto cruise ships too.
Oh, right. So exactly. So and the Sam guy's responsible for both of those. There's a colleague called Malcolm Ainscoe, who I still do a lot of business with, a mentor to me. He encouraged me to write the first book, Africa Bites, and he's acknowledged in that book. And then much more recently, about 2 years ago, he, because he used to do this, put me in touch with Silver Sea and now Cunard, the cruise liners, and now I do these lectures and I tell these stories, as well as some other stuff, history stories. on board these ships as a guest lecturer.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's another. And I love that. It's a highly structured 45-minute talk, PowerPoint presentation, which I've honed and polished, and it's very different to sitting around a fire telling a story, in a lodge. Much more formal setting, tie and suit, not my usual look, but I love it.
Does it feel like it restricts your expression?
No, it doesn't actually. No, I fit into that world too.
I feel like
And a
it's
lot
an
of-
Agatha Christie kind of
No,
experience.
I love it actually.
Yeah.
And then there's always lots of questions. And then again, people will invite you to lunch, and then you'll sit down, you tell a few more stories, and just enjoy their company. And and if they're not interested in safari, they'll have been at the lecture, and then off they go. You don't see them again. But there's lots of them who want to continue the conversation.
It's such a contrast, right? Sitting on a boat,
I know.
not going too
But it's
quickly.
a very
and
similar
you're-
group of people. Lots of people who go on cruises also go on safaris. And they might have already done a safari, and in which case they want to tell their stories to me, which is great. Or they want to hear more about Africa.
So the transition between Africa Bites and then Confessions of a African Safari Guide, what led you to delve deeper into?
So Africa Bites
these
is because they've got this sort of latent sort of fear of wildlife. Like people are always scared of bears and mountain lions and wolves and stuff. Like we've been trained that way. You think about the fairy tales, the Grimm brothers, and that Hansel and Gretel, and those kinds of stories. They're all designed to make us afraid, of witches, or of the dark, or of snakes, or of bears, or something. So we're raised with that stuff. And so when they
also makes a good story.
yeah, always, because you've got to have some
Part of the
fear
story
and
structure.
trepidation and jeopardy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not much of a story. Yeah. So and so they want that from me as well. They want to hear all the scary. So they don't want to hear about all the gentle, lovely stuff, doves cooing in the morning, and
Beautiful sunsets.
antelopes picking their way around the
Stories
camp
you
and
really want to
sunsets,
tell.
because those are there as well. But actually, what they want is jeopardy. They want a bit of fear. They want to hear about snakes and lion attacks and that type of thing. So what I did was I collected, and I've never been hurt by a wild animal ever, but I've had some narrow escapes.
Can you share one with us?
Well, it starts with a crocodile story where I was birding on the Kunene River in a small canoe. And a crocodile attacked the little canoe that I was in and tried to knock me out of the boat. Didn't succeed, clearly, because I'm here.
Canoeist.
Yeah, well,
You've done the doozy.
No,
you knew how to handle it.
no, it was a bit of luck, really. No, but I escaped, and I managed to get to the far bank. I wasn't knocked out of the boat at all. Crocodile held me there for a couple of hours until I was rescued by.
Were you on your
people.
own?
Yeah, I was on my own. I broke several safety rules there, which I would never recommend to the guests to.
They were in
to
your
do,
early
which is
days.
Don't tell anybody where you're going. Don't have the proper safety equipment, etc. So I was on my own. So no, but the point is that people want to hear those kinds of stories. The reality is I've been in boats with crocodiles thousands of times with that, and the crocs just lie there, right? That's what usually happens. But people do want those stories, and they especially want snake stories. And there's lots of those. And some of them are fictitious stories. Some of them are apocryphal stories. Stories that I've collected from Africans on my travels. But snakes always get people's attention. So the first book was Scrapes and Escapes. But the second one, I felt like I wanted the Confessions book. I wanted to write about what really goes on in the safari industry and what goes on, the stuff that the guests never see, because all they see is a perfect scenario with wonderful rooms, excellent food, charismatic guides, everything goes according to plan. It's all perfectly safe and it's wonderful. But like everything, there's background stuff that they'd never really get to hear about. I wanted to write about the characters in the safari world who
So how do the gentleman you were talking about, who you were bragging about your stories, how does this go down in terms of within the safari industry?
Oh no,
you don't
fine.
know
I
yet.
mean, it was time somebody wrote a story like that. It's it's slightly revealing, but of course names have been changed to protect the guilty.
Anyone not happy
No.
with any of your stories?
No, it was well received. I mean, it's, you know, they're the stories that we don't really, we don't always tell the guests.
Yeah.
Um,
Are people
and
different
just-
with you since you've written the books? As in, are they
Mm.
expecting to? Are they like, Lloyd, am I going to be in your next story?
yeah, people do that.
Yeah.
They do say that. They say, I suppose this is going to end up in one of your stories, but they,
Is this good enough?
yeah. No, but listen, most of the stories are really about me embarrassing myself.
Mm.
Not, you know, they're not situations where guests get into any kind of real trouble and stuff.
What have you seen over the time as a safari guide in the world of safari guiding, you know, in the trains and stuff? What have you seen as, I don't know, some of the challenges, some of the possibilities? How, you know, what is your view on the African safari industry at the moment?
Oh, so it's burgeoning. I mean, despite all the crazy politicians in the world and the fluctuations in currency and the fear mongering that goes on and the bad press that Africa often gets, the safari industry is generally speaking, in southern and East Africa, also Central Africa, Rwanda, and Uganda, is doing very, very well. In fact, the problem is it's doing so well that
I
there's
was going to say there's a fine line, right?
yeah, there's too many lodges in a sense. There's lots of money to be made, and the market's still out there. The reality is that the moment that there's any kind of dark news, it's somewhat attractive to people, as long as it's not in your backyard. You know, it intrigues people. They just want to know that everything's going to be fine on their journey. But no, it's doing well. But I tell you, the best thing about it, the most gratifying change actually, is that when I got into the industry in South Africa and then later in Botswana, all the managers, all management, and all the guides were white people like me. We're mostly in our 30s or so, middle 20s to middle 30s, or having the adventure of a lifetime and doing a great job, but we're all of a particular and very recognizable group, subsect of people, subsection of culture. And then in the 90s, things started to change. And I was responsible for some of it in Namibia by setting up a training school to train guides. And these were Namibians, black and white, but mostly black, who needed an opportunity. Not much formal education, but they could generally manage quite well in English. And so we created, through Wilderness Safaris, we created a school there which gave them the opportunity to become guides. Now, and of course, you know, it was a bit rough to start with, and they weren't particularly good. There were some stars. But now, if you go across Africa, almost every single wildlife guide you meet is a black African, men and women. And it's particularly difficult for women because men tend to hold these positions and guard them, and they're territorial about them. But some women have broken through that barrier and do really well. And they're fantastic. And they don't guide like I do. They've got a completely different approach. They're non-scientific about it. They're really good raconteurs. They tell great stories. It's very personal. It's earthy. And they are super competent. And that's just been incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And would you say, when you say it has changed, do you think that's part of it, as in there's more people providing the service? So you've got both, I guess, more people looking for it, maybe more people wanting to.
It started off with government insisting.
Okay.
That, so that was a, what's the expression for?
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. It was an affirmative action policy. Of course, that's always controversial at first when it starts, right? But the changes I've seen tell me that it was a necessary thing to do. Now it's got its own momentum. Now, most of the trainers are guides, black guides. So it's it's the same with management too, and the chefs and the hotel managers and all that sort of thing. They're all local people.
It's all part
So
of
it started with that. Then the companies themselves realized that standards weren't going to drop. That was the great fear, right? Now it's the momentum is created, and It's
Well, if
fantastic.
you give the ownership and the power back to the people, it's their land essentially, and they're obviously very proud of it, and they want to look after it, and
Yeah,
they want
so
to educate their
exactly.
people, and so it's it doesn't
So
make
the
sense.
thing is if they are right, exactly. So if the lodge is built on land which is owned by a certain group of black people, so a tribal or community, and they are brought in, previously they just paid rent for people to be there, right? For people to build a lodge, and but once they became the managers and the guides themselves, then they really understood what the business. It wasn't just rental money coming to them; it was an actual career and a lifestyle, and also they've got the kudos now from their community because they are employed, they're literate, they're responsible, and they've now become senior members in their communities, which is also really good.
Is there any changes you'd like to see moving forward?
I worry that there's too much tourism, that Africa's getting a bit, not just Africa.
I guess we've seen pictures even of the wildebeest migration.
Yeah, so
it's a Marriott hotel right in the middle of it.
It's awful. So what's going on up there in the northern Serengeti, and I was there just last year, it's embarrassing to me as a guide. I've just been extolling the virtues of all the guides, but there's some terrible ones also. And they're driven very much by the power of the tip of money, and they're not always necessarily good. They are. So the guides I've been describing mostly work for private industry, and they're really good, but there are also a bunch of cowboys out there in all countries that are doing a bad job. And in the Serengeti, northern Serengeti, at the crossing, the migration, it's oversold, and it's to me an unpleasant experience now. So that's the negative side of it, is that people will pay not very much money to go on a relatively cheap safari for a poor experience. I don't often go to places like that, fortunately for me.
What were you going to say when you were up there? You said you were up there recently, and
I was at the migration, and it was
busy.
There might have been 100 cars there, and the wildebeest were blocked from crossing. And so safari's got its dark side as well. That's currently in the news. That's one of the problems.
And I guess it doesn't sit. Who does it sit with to try and change that? How do you do that?
Well, the government keeps
limiting the number of people coming.
Yeah, I mean, the government's happy to grant concessions for more and more camps to be built, and that needs more and more guides. Each camp needs 5 or 6 or 7 guides and more cars, so there's more impact on the earth, more impact on the wildlife. So there are issues around that.
Victim of their own success.
Yeah.
Last year you went to Chad, is that right? So
Chad, yeah.
So would you say that even some of this is inviting you to explore different areas as well?
Yeah. So Chad was on the bucket list for me. It's a place that most people really know very little about, but they've just heard that it's dangerous because it's in the Sahel. It's in Central Africa, but it's got the most incredible wildlife places. It was one of the best things I've ever done. We were there for I think it was 7 nights. A place called Zakuma. It's also privately managed by Africa Parks. The wildlife was beyond belief astonishing. It was also beyond belief hot, which puts people off going there. But amazing, and a true wilderness.
What do you mean by that?
Wilderness?
Well, no, just that it is beyond, because you've seen a lot.
Oh,
so what makes you even go?
So people talk about the Okavango Delta as being a place where it doesn't matter where you look, there's wildlife. There's something there all the time. And the Serengeti is a bit like that, especially if you land up in and amongst the wildebeest migration. There's just incredible numbers of animals. The biomass is amazing. You go to Chad, it's not just wildlife, it's the bird life as well. There's just so much of it. The plains are like dark with tiang, which is a large antelope, for example. And it's unexpected because you don't think that in the middle of Africa, in what people see as a corrupt, badly run ex-French colony, where all they're after is the oil revenues, there's this haven. And I don't think they get enough recognition for that.
It's so inspiring and uplifting, when sometimes again you only hear the dark side, you only hear the negative in
Yeah.
the press.
Yeah.
And there are so many. And this is why travel is so important. When you get out there and you see the
Yeah.
reality,
Mm.
there is so much goodness and abundance
Yeah.
out there.
But the other thing about tourism that's really important is that the more tourists there are on the ground, the less poaching there's likely to be. Because you sort of, as a tourist, when you're out in a vehicle, you're a presence there. And that deters people who shouldn't be there, who are there to kill wildlife, particularly elephants and rhinos, from being there. And that's what's happened in Chad, is that tourism has been the rescue, has been the saving grace of a very important national park. There used to be huge amounts of elephants killed there for their tusks, of course, and now that's stopped. And that's because tourists go there.
Amazing.
So again, back to that fine line.
Yeah, exactly. It's always,
enough,
everything's always a balance. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to see gorillas.
Yeah,
the
gorillas are.
You've seen gorillas?
The first time?
Yeah.
No, I've been 18 times to the
Okay.
gorillas. Yeah.
Lose track of all your adventures.
Yeah. They're amazing. But again, also, Rwanda is another example. They've habituated. Habituation means that animals are wild, they're not fed, they live their own lives, but for a very short period during the day, they will tolerate your presence. That's all that means. They're not tame at all. And that's with gorillas, it's 1 hour. But in Rwanda, I think I'm right in saying that every single gorilla has been habituated. So there are some days in Rwanda, I think, where every mountain gorilla they have is looked at by a tourist.
Wow.
Which I think is not the case in Uganda, where there's still some gorilla families that do not encounter people.
And again, that helps with stopping the poaching.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. Whereas if you cross the Virunga mountain range to the so-called Democratic Republic of Congo, there's no tourism there.
Have you been into Congo?
No, I haven't been across there. Because there's all sorts of banditry out there, and civil wars spill over into the forests, and nobody's quite sure what goes on, and no tourism, therefore no income, no money to train or to have feet on the ground, no lodges. So people won't.
Where would you like to go that you haven't been?
I would like to. I don't want to. I've seen a lot of Africa. So I'd like to go to wilderness places that I haven't been. I'd like to go to Iceland, for example. I'd like to go and see Arctic birds. I'd love to see a polar bear or a walrus. That would be my next.
What about South America?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been to the Amazon. I've been to some incredible places in South America in the jungle. Not my world though. It's very clammy. It's very dark. It's very muddy. There's not much view. So I prefer the African plate.
Well, you can see.
I mean, it was amazingly interesting.
So, what advice or what wisdom have you picked up doing the work that you do and all the adventures in Africa that you then bring back to your everyday city life?
Oh, so the thing about being involved in tourism is that you meet the most incredible people, super interesting people. But you're the expert when you're guiding, right? So they've come to you because you're good at what you do. And I remember, for example, being taken by a person that I'd guided in South Africa, but he's a trader on Wall Street. And we went onto the floor there. I didn't have a clue what was going on. I mean, it was a complete jungle to me. Everybody yelling and waving bits of paper and shouting at their telephones back there. I don't know if they still do it that way, but no idea what was going on. But that was his world, right? So, that's what happens is you get that, you get to learn from other people about what they do and what they're expert in. And most people who have bought your services as a professional guide and trust your judgment and where to go and how to behave and how long to be there and etc. Are very good at what they do, and so they understand what professionalism is. So they'll hand over authority to you when you're the guide, as they expect in their own world.
And I guess that's why, I mean, you do get a lot of repeat business, right? You get a lot of people who come
Yeah,
back
so
and trusted you for
exactly.
many years.
So it's almost all repeat or referred
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Which is handy because then people, you come with an introduction, and a certain amount of trust.
So let's move on to your third book,
Yep.
Paddling the Dragon.
Here it is.
Dun,
You got a
dun,
copy
dun.
there? Oh no, not that one. That
Not
one.
that one. This one.
Yeah.
What's the dragon?
The dragon is a river called the Dusi River, which flows from Pietermaritzburg to Durban in South Africa. And there's a 3-day canoe race on it. It's been going 75 years this year.
Wow.
I think 1951 was the first one. Only one person finished it that particular year.
How many
Took him
started?
6 days. 8.
Oh,
Only
wow.
8.
Okay.
Took in how long? 6 days.
And it
Okay.
was started by a guy called Ian Player, who's a very famous South African conservationist. In fact, he became famous for saving the white rhinoceros from extinction.
Oh.
He's the guy who started that race.
Okay.
And he's a proper adventurer, so somebody to look up to. And now it's become the dragon itself just represents. You can see it in the back of the book there. That the river looks like a dragon as it curls down through the Valley of 1,000 Hills.
Was it named a dragon at the start?
No, it's
Was
just
that
my name
the
for
name?
it. I call it
Oh,
the
it's
dragon
yours.
because it's fierce and it's
It
spiky
sounds fierce.
and it breathes fire and it's
Spits
bloody
foam.
terrifying sometimes. It spits you out.
So I've been reading it. I'm about 3/4 of the way through. So and it's very rare, isn't it, that I actually start a book and nearly finish it. So even that as an accolade, Lloyd.
You're not getting out much, are you?
The problem is he gets out too much. That's when he never finishes the book.
But it's very encapsulating, and just the way you write, your humorousness. I can hear your
Humorosity.
words. Yes, as you speak it. You can tell I'm not the English teacher. But just it brings it, I think, as a storytelling, right? If I looked at it, would I pick it up? Because if I'm not a kayaker, but actually, it's the stories of it that you tell. The stories
Yeah.
you
Who
tell
are your
rather
books
than
aimed
the
at? I mean, who do you write for?
Me.
Brilliant answer.
No, I write for me. So I can't. I know that some authors have a person in mind when they write a book, and they're sort of aiming it at somebody, and as a sort of a designated representative of a particular kind of audience. But I'm just writing for entertainment, and hopefully people read it. So I mean, if I had to choose a person I was writing it for, it's the other guy on the cover. His name is Bram van Wyk, and he and I have done. I've done 18, completed 18 of them, and 9 of them are with him. In 6 weeks' time, I'm doing number 10 with him. So he's always in mind, and he's a major character in the book.
Has he read it?
Oh yeah. He's got his copy.
But
But
does he remember it the same way you remember them?
no, he doesn't seem to somehow. I think my imagination is a little more colourful than his.
Do you write notes? Like, do you keep notes?
No, not
that
at
you've
all.
referred back to? You've
No, it's
remembered it
all just in my head.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what happens. I don't always know what I'm going to write. If I'm going to write that day, then I want to write 1,500 words. So however long that takes for the day. It can be 2 hours, but it can also be like 5 hours. And I don't always know what I'm going to write. I just start some sort of idea, loose thing in my head, and then I start writing, and then it quickly starts to flow. It usually flows. Sometimes it doesn't. And then a story emerges. I actually really don't know what story I'm going to write.
No.
Sometimes a sort of a title comes into my head when I'm out on a run or something. And then, like Paddling the Dragon, that's how that pitched up while I was out for a run. And then that becomes the story. But most of the time I write it and then I find a title afterwards. So there's 32 chapters and I didn't write them in order. I think the first chapter I wrote was actually chapter like 20 in the book.
But yet it feels quite chronological.
Yeah,
In terms of how you tell the story.
So I've created it that way, yeah.
Yeah. So
But,
do you want to just, in terms of bringing it to life for people, obviously now the 6 days, people generally do the marathon in 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
Tell us about
So it's
water and the people.
It's 120 kilometers of paddling and running. It's a unique race in the sense that although you follow the river, Umzimduzi and the Mgeni River to Durban over 3 days, you're allowed to carry your boat and make shortcuts if you want to. So sometimes the river will wind all over the place, and it's actually quicker to get out of the river, run up over a hill, carrying the boat down the other side, and then maybe up another hill and down the other side of that. And that might be 4 or 5 kilometers of scrabbling and struggling and carrying the boat. But it saves you time because the river disappears over there and you want to go over there. So
so you're allowed to cheat, basically.
So Google Earth is a very handy tool for.
So if someone's coming in to do the Dusi for the first time, do they employ someone like you to kind of give them the heads up, or do they use Google Maps, or how do they even start? Or they just go the long way around the first time?
There is a route map.
Okay.
Generally speaking, actually, most people go with somebody who's done it before.
Okay.
So if you go in a K2, which is a double, I've done, of the 18 I've completed, 16 have been in a double and 2 in a single. I prefer doubles; it's more fun. And it's easier, especially with Brahm up front there. I let him do the training, and I just carry along.
You just shout abuse from behind.
No, so normally you'll team up with somebody. But people, like teenage girls, like 13 years old, will do it. But in the company of somebody's experienced and with a bit of strength.
You pass down the wisdom to the next generation.
But you'll find teenage girls, like schoolgirls, racing that thing and doing incredibly well. Age of 15, 16 together. But again, just as the development that I described in terms of black people in the safari business really coming into their own, it's the same with the Dusi. Is that story, although it's a story about having the courage to take it on, because it's pretty scary and it's really tough. And you bleed a lot, but I do. I'm clumsy.
I'm at the part where I'm wondering whether you still have a leg. Since you're sitting here with a leg,
I've got some good scars. No, what's happened now is that the race, we've got past this thing where an organization run by men and competed by men think that only men can do it. I mean, marathon running used to be like that, right? Now, women are showing that they are incredible endurance athletes, probably better than men, especially the longer it goes.
Probably a higher pain threshold. Probably.
Yeah. Amazing. And so in the Dusi now, the women who are competing in this are very, very good, sometimes finishing in the top 20 overall. And also, because we go through the Valley of 1,000 Hills, which is a black tribal community area, where they used to just watch us go past every January or February and wonder what these crazy white people were doing, running around with their boats on their shoulders and stuff. Now they're doing it.
Great.
And black women have completed the Dusi,
wow.
Which that's still a bit unusual, but so it's very healthy for the
sport.
You've
seen it change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's changed a lot, particularly in the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Black people are now winning this, and we've always, growing up, we always had the idea that black people didn't swim and didn't kayak. Clearly not true. It's just a question.
Well, we grew up in a propaganda, apartheid state.
Yeah, we did. It's just a question of opportunity, and there's actually a wonderful movie. It's called Confluence, Beyond the River, made by a guy called Piers Cruikshanks, who paddled and came 7th, I believe, in the Dusi with a black paddler. And that's a wonderful movie and a wonderful book to read about what can happen if you give less fortunate people the opportunity to excel.
Yeah.
So the Dusi is very much about that, and I write about that quite a lot in that book. I'm very cognizant of the fact that it's not just quite a scary adventure, but the fact that it represents, as the Comrades Marathon does in South Africa, it represents social change as well.
Yeah, and the Comrades is another adventure. How many are you on now?
I've only done 5.
Only 5,
yeah.
Lloyd.
Hopefully another one this year. There'll be a book about that. It'll be called Running the Dragon. I've started writing it.
Is there another adventure? Is there one that you look at and think, in my life, I'd like to give that a go?
Yeah, it's the one we were talking about earlier. It's about walking the length of the Natal Drakensberg over 12 days, 250 kilometers.
The Grand Traverse, I believe.
The Grand Traverse, the Drakensberg Grand Traverse, DGT. It's been done but it's still an unusual thing to do.
I see two
I'd love
guys
to.
ran in about 41 hours.
So there
I'm
are
assuming
some-
that's not going to be your style, Lloyd.
No,
No.
those guys are animals. Ryan Sands and Reno Chrysal. No, they're legends. No, that's not me.
Who are the people that you look up to as sort of adventure athletes, or people like that? Who are your role models?
Well, growing up, it was Bruce Fordyce because he was the
Okay.
Comrades king, right? He was the young guy that I started running Comrades or getting into endurance sports because he was only a few years older than me, and I saw him starting to win it, and I thought, hell, I could do that. I didn't realize that normal people could do these things.
And he ran barefoot as well, didn't he?
No, he wasn't a barefoot runner.
Oh, okay.
No, but he did win 9 of them, which is still the record. And the same thing with the Dusi. I didn't know that normal people could do the Dusi. I thought that was all like super athletes. And that's what I like about these endurance events now, is that you can inspire yourself if you've got the courage to give it a go.
Yeah.
Where do you get your courage from?
Jeez, I don't know. I've always been adventurous. And I've always, growing up, I wanted to do the Comrades for about the age of 15 or something. So I don't know where that came from. Why?
Do you think you have a sort of fundamental belief that you'll be okay? Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You don't allow any sort of.
No. I trust myself to. Maybe I've just been lucky, but I don't. I've got a few wounds, but no, I think if you just got to give it a go. I mean, otherwise, you might as well just watch TV. You can either watch other people do it, or you can do it yourself.
And that's the problem that we're coming with this world now, right? A lot of people are just sitting in front of their laptops or mobile
I do
phones.
plenty of that as well, but I watch a lot of
A
adventures.
bit of rest in between. Well, there's one point in the Dusi where you talk about this cut in your leg. And I was trying to remember back whether I do remember you talking about it in person. But so you hit a rock, you slice your leg open where you can actually see the bone.
Yeah.
The water's not the cleanest water in the world.
Unfortunately, that's the drawback, is that the water quality is poor.
Yeah. And you're advised to not carry on. Not that I want to spoil your book, but
no.
just your mindset, I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. Your mindset of someone says to you, don't do it, and you go, I'm doing it.
Yeah, no, there's no way you're going to pull out. And also you got to trust in antibiotics.
Some work, not all of them.
No. Well, in that case, it took 2 goes before they worked. But now I've just got a scar and I'm fine. I've done lots of Dusi since then. No, I don't. So I've got I don't like to be made afraid. Like government travel warnings and things, they annoy me. I mean, they have a role, of course, but I don't like to take them too seriously, because they always err on the side of caution. And I think that the way we are raised to be afraid, and to be kept in order, and it's done with good intention, but I think people respond to it too readily. And I'd much rather take personal responsibility, like as with health. I don't want to have to depend on the NHS to look after me. I just think that's my job, unless there's an emergency.
So how would you say, or what would you say that you do trust
in? I trust in the goodwill of people, because you keep encountering it all the time, as long as you're open to it, and in kindness. But I also just trust that I can do the thing, given time and, fortitude. There's no reason you can't.
Do you believe, like, when you go, you go? That's it. It'll be your time whenever your time is, or do you think you're a cat with 9 lives, or how does it work?
I've been lucky. I've had a few narrow escapes. I don't know. If it ends now, it's fine.
You've lived a full life, right? You've given it your horns.
I don't.
But maybe there's not much space for you
though.
to entertain it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think you're more in a positive mindset and look for the best in things.
Yeah, and I think you have to have something to work. I think you've got to be aiming at something all the time. So the biggest problem with endurance events, like training for 6 months for the Comrades or for the Dusi or something like that, and then it's all about that. And 2 things can happen. One is you don't get to start because of injury or illness, and that's devastating, and you get depressed. Or you do it, and you get it done, and then you immediately drop into a sort of a dark state. I do, because it's all gone now. Everything's like the whole point of it's now. So what you've got to do is you've got to plan something else. So you've got to think about what the next adventure or the next book is, or
We often talk about, the balance of the dance between presence and planning.
yeah.
You have to plan, but you also have to be present with what's going on right here
True,
and
yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Otherwise you can,
You're wasting. You're not. Yeah,
you're not enjoying the moment,
right.
and then you're never going to get to that horizon that you're chasing. So I guess
True, and I'm not so good at that. I tend to rush along a bit too much. I don't
savor the
sit
moment.
quietly enough. Yeah, for sure.
I guess
I'm
in the
conscious
writing,
that I
right,
should,
it
but I
gives
you
forget
look-
to do it.
But do you look back and go, oh my God, look at all the stuff I've achieved, and savor that,
Yeah,
as well as looking forward to what you want
no,
to do.
yeah,
But
no,
I guess
do.
your books are homage to that, to what you have achieved, I guess.
And also, I'm a compulsive list maker. It's like an obsession with me. So I write everything down. So I've got training diaries that go back 40 years.
Wow.
So I know exactly how far I ran or paddled or cycled on every day going back to about the age of 20.
So you do lists of your
I list
times of
everything.
everything, shopping lists.
No, I'm rubbish at shopping lists. I
Okay.
always leave them behind.
Leave that to Sue.
Places to go, things to do.
Yeah,
You-
countries I've been to, people I've met, books I've read, movies I've watched,
Mm.
races I've run. Yeah, and so all of those are the journals, and when I look back at them, I can spend hours doing that. Just so I do honor what I've done. Yeah,
I think you have a really nice balance of also doing, you've, I don't know how many of the Wainwright Fells you've
214 of
You
which I've
obviously
done
know.
117.
And a half.
How many have we done, darling? How many have we done?
None.
We might have done
No,
one
we
or
have
two.
done a few.
But
No, that's a good example.
Adventures close to home as well.
Oh, yeah.
You're not. It's not all just about the big endurance. You
No,
also
no.
do. You and Sue enjoy a lot of ventures together as
Yeah,
well.
we do.
Is that how you balance out your marriage? You come home and you do adventures with your wife. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important. You can't just be going away and doing stuff on your own. You got to balance it. And there's plenty. And Sue's active, so there's lots of stuff we do together.
It's great. I mean, you both are an epitome of health and well-being, and and I think that part of it is that you do the things that bring you joy.
Yeah.
And
so I think the thing about these races, like I'm never going to win the Dusi or the Comrades, but especially at the age of 63, or at any age actually.
You could win age group category.
But yeah, well, but you've got to be wholehearted about it when you go in and just embrace it for what it is, And also, by the way, these things get easier later. You train less and you think less about it. You just go and do them.
you go with the flow.
Yeah, because you know you can do it. So you get momentum. You get mental momentum, confidence. And maybe that's the answer to your question. It's like I don't overthink it really.
It's not much space.
Go and,
You're like, what, the next one?
just go and do it.
Yeah. You had a nice line in the book around KD and how you see yourself as the poet and him as the pragmatist. And I quite liked the way that you set that up in terms of, I guess, you selecting a co-paddler or a co-runner, or do you look for someone to balance you out?
So you mean generally in life?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a great analogy. So Bram and I are utterly different people. But in a boat, we're fantastic together. And that's why I keep paddling with him, because I've also paddled with other people and it doesn't work so well. The synergy is not quite there. The timing's off and the mood is not quite right. So that's why I'll keep going with him as long as I can, and vice versa. It's probably the same with Sue. Seems to work. 32 years.
Just 2 years. Congratulations.
I don't know.
on your wedding
Well, you can ask
anniversary.
her about that. Interview her and see what she has to say.
Next on the list.
Well, you have adventures
I don't-
together, that you balance that
Yeah.
well. You've, traveled around the world. You've lived in different places. You've worked together, then not worked together. You've had quite a mix.
Yeah, we're well aligned, I think. And we laugh at each other, which is good.
Mostly. Well, I think that also keeps you young, right? You do seem to find the humour in a lot in yourself, mostly.
You
as
laugh
you
at yourself
write.
I
very
try not to take myself too seriously. I fall into the trap sometimes. I don't have much time for people who are self-regarding. They can be a bit draining.
Well, you hold life lightly, you know. You allow. I mean,
Mostly.
mostly, I guess, you know, except for the constant writing stuff down. But you know, the
Yeah.
overall, you know, approach to life. So
Because it seems to work out.
yeah.
I
Well, and if you
remember,
believe it works out, it
I
does.
think so. I remember at the end of the year 2000, I lost my job in Namibia. It was a redundancy issue, and actually also because I'd done a pretty good job of training people to take over from me. And that's when we left Namibia and we came to the UK, which I thought would be a temporary thing, but 15 years on, here we are. And that's a good thing. But I remember being very anxious about that, moving to a new country and a new environment and all that. I don't struggle to make friends, but it's awkward for a while. And I remember reading or hearing something. Somebody said that if you jump, the universe will catch you. And it sounds a bit light, doesn't it? But I think that's what happened.
Cool.
And I think it'll keep happening.
Well, I guess that applies to everything that you're talking about, and it's almost the philosophy of take the next step and you'll be rewarded.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and expect
you've got to take
happen.
it. And try not to be too afraid to take a thing, and try not to listen to the naysayers and the people who think it's all too dangerous.
Cool.
You get nothing done.
Do you want to do the quick fire or?
You can start. You do first lot and then I'll.
Okay. So we got a quick fire round.
Okay.
So don't think too much about it. And if you can't answer, just go pass. One thing I'm dying to know: are you a doozy rat?
Yes, 11. I'm number 11.
What makes a doozy rat?
You have to have done 10.
10. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have against pink boats?
I don't mind what colour. They just mustn't overtake me.
Just quickly on that, because you're so competitive, and I was thinking sometimes when you are portaging, that's the right word, yeah?
Yes.
Which feels like half the race in some way, maybe because you talk about it more because it's so painful. But particularly when you're in single file, and I mean that would drive me crazy.
No, it drives me crazy. I can't stand it. I just want to push them out of the way. And
well, all of you. Some of you are going quick, some fast, slow. Like
you get all jammed up sometimes. And I was like, oh, I can't believe it. Just go, people, go. But it's just I have to brand myself in. I do get competitive at my own level. And I know I'm not going to win the thing.
Yeah, but you want to do your best.
But I want to do my best, and I don't like having to stand still.
Just quickly on that, I'm going to ask another quick question. Is there any part of the Dusi you're not allowed to kayak in?
Yeah, there's a place called Mamba Gorge, which is so crazy that even the top guys are not allowed to paddle. Right. That is a compulsory through the bush portage. Yeah.
Thank you for indulging in my inquiries.
Yeah.
Okay, carrying on with quick fire. How many nicknames does your co-paddler KD have?
He's got 3 that I've made publicly available to the and then there's several others that I use on him when I'm getting tired. if he makes a mistake.
Okay, cool. Canoeing.
How many's he got for you?
I don't know.
Just one.
He's a nicer person than me. I think he's.
Okay, so canoeing, guiding, or writing, what's number 1?
Gosh, that's a very tricky question. I weight all of those equally.
Okay. Biggest challenge of your life?
Wow.
Oh my God, he's lost for words.
This is an anomaly comment.
No, it's just probably moving to the UK.
Okay, cool.
There was a transition there that was a little bit difficult for a while.
I doubt that you have anything with us, but what, if anything, scares you about the future?
Oh, world politics scares the hell out of me right at the moment. But also I've got faith that it's all temporary and it'll all pass.
Cool. What excites you about the future?
The fact that I'm still healthy. My dad turned 90 years old yesterday.
Happy birthday.
I see him as a role model. And I reckon I can be, if I'm around for that long with that sort of vital energy, that's exciting to me.
Definitely think
lots to offer.
Yeah, I definitely think you're on track for that.
Yeah.
Are you an adrenaline junkie?
Not so much anymore. I mean, if that means bungee jumping and stuff, I'm sort of retired from bungee jumping. I've done 3 big ones, but it's not that. That's not the kind of stuff I seek so much. I like the long endurance. I prefer to have time to think about things.
Okay. And the last quick fire from me. What is your favorite word in the South African slang glossary that I don't know you enjoyed writing?
Oh, it's Footsack.
Footsack. And for
Are
those
we allowed to know? Feeling a bit out of it here.
Footsack is a semi-polite way of telling somebody to get lost.
Okay.
going to continue.
Yeah, just on that, in the back of the book,
Yeah.
Paddling Dragon, Lloyd has pages and pages of glossary
Yeah.
of South African
Yeah.
slang.
By the way, that's the bit I like writing the most.
Yeah.
I love writing the glossary. It's good fun.
I'm enjoying reading it
Yeah.
and then having to refer to the glossary. That's also
There's a few
different
little jokes in there.
So, what do you love most about living in Twickenham?
I love the fact that it is close to the parks. It's close to the river. I love running. I love kayaking. I love cycling. I love getting out. Those are the best moments of my day, really. And so Twickenham offers all of that all the time. But also it's quiet. It's lovely and peaceful.
Except for the planes.
Sometimes the planes are going over, but not so often.
Do you like the contrast then? The like coming home in terms of somewhere quiet to go.
Oh yeah, very much.
And
I love the fact that where we live can be almost completely silent. I really like silence and darkness.
Nice. How many park runs have you done?
I think it's 343, I think.
What is your quickest?
21:12. You see, I know these numbers.
I know, that's what
Bushy
I'm asking
Park,
you.
21:12. Still trying to beat that. I'm running out of time.
How long? When did you do it?
Oh, ages back. I don't know, 10 years ago.
What's the best park run?
I think it's one called Fell Foot. It's at the bottom of Lake Windermere in the Lake District in Cumbria. That's absolutely gorgeous, all along the edges of the shore.
No. Your least favourite park run? You can say for any reason. Why?
Egham Orbit.
Did it go round and round?
No,
Judging by the name.
It literally goes under the M25 twice.
Okay.
Tunnels.
Best cafe for coffee?
Cafe 91 in Witten.
Where is the best place safari to go on a tight budget?
On a tight budget?
Yeah.
The best place would be South Africa. The cheapest place would be Tanzania.
Okay. And on a large budget?
Large budget would be Botswana.
What animal is there left that you haven't seen?
Polar bears.
Who's the worst safari guest?
It's not a nationality thing. The worst safari guest is just people who I've occasionally had this who actually don't want to be there, but they've been forced to go there by their wives or husbands or their parents, and it's just not their interest, and then they're hard to work with.
Who would you love most to meet?
I would
Or
love
take on a safari.
or Barack Obama. Love to meet him. I'm very, very
Sure,
impressed.
he'd love to come to Africa.
Oh, yeah.
Where would you take him?
He's,
I'd love to talk
he's
to him.
narrating wildlife documentaries now as well, I believe. I hear.
Is he?
Not that he'll be the next David Attenborough, but he is. Yeah.
The next person I'd love to meet would be Trevor Noah. He's a
Hey.
South African humorist. I'd like to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Off stage, quietly, one-on-one. He drops his stage persona.
Nice. And what's still left on your adventure bucket list and why? I mean, we've talked about the
Couple of
Traverse,
local
but
things. I want to
anything else?
ride the Land's End to John O'Groats by bicycle. It's a 12-day, top bottom to top. And I would like to. There's a few rivers that I want to paddle in South Africa. The Nkomazi River and some others.
Yeah.
They're all.
And then
I've got one quick one.
Okay.
Favorite food? I was just thinking then, as you talk about all your
Mexican.
adventures, Mexican, or almost what your substance is.
Subsistence.
Yes.
It's not Mexican, but if I go out, I'd
Okay,
love
that's
to
your
eat
favorite
Mexican.
food. Okay.
Yeah.
What keeps you going? Your food. What food group? Or do you just eat everything?
I just eat it. I'm not fond of seafood, but I eat everything else.
You gave me crocodile once.
I gave you crocodile.
Yeah.
We're at Chamari.
I think it was in Cape Town.
Oh,
He said, I've got some food for you to try.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. It's nice.
Crocodile's okay. It's a bit dry, you can add lots of sauce. It's a bit like turkey at Christmas.
Was it the one that tried to knock you out of the boat?
Yeah, that one. I'd willingly give you that one to eat.
So like Captain Hook. Lloyd does have both feet.
So if people do want to go on safari with you, what's the best way to contact you? Is it just pick up the phone or
No, just send me an email.
send you an email?
Mm.
Okay, we'll put your details on the bottom of the podcast.
The problem with safari is that it's like walking into a Lindt chocolate shop. Like it all looks fantastic, but it's hard to choose.
And I guess just very quickly, like in comparison now, if you've got the access to AI and go, AI, plan me a trip to whatever, and then obviously that's one way to do it, but then what can you offer that then is better than AI in that sense of?
With the fact that I've been there,
yeah,
AI hasn't. So
okay, cool. Just make that
the
clear.
Realness.
Yeah. No, I mean the fact is.
Do you use AI to help you plan?
Yeah,
things?
sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Well, not so much for safaris, but I certainly use it.
Yeah.
I think it's. I'm a bit scared of it. I don't know where it's going, but it's really useful and very impressive. I don't use it to write my books though. Good
to hear that. Well, we know that. We can see that.
It couldn't write.
No, I think the thing about
down.
safaris is you need somebody who knows the people and knows the details.
Well, until you get AI safari guys, I think you're all right.
Yeah.
And then we have one last question we ask all our guests is what makes you feel soulful?
Oh, to wake up in the Okavango Delta early, and when the sun has come up, and just to listen to the sound of birds, starlings and robin chats and geese and stuff, just like listening to the whole world wake up and not pick up your phone and not pick up your Kindle, just don't have them in arm's reach and not use them to wake you up. So wake up naturally without an alarm clock. And just slowly lie there and just enjoy feeling gravity and letting it just like seep into you and not talk. Just that's what I like. I like it. Those first 20 minutes of a safari day, and then you go through. It's still quite dark, and you have coffee around the fire, like proper coffee. Nobody and no talking. Talking's coming. There's going to be plenty of that. That is just the most wonderful, soulful, meditative experience.
Absolutely.
Nice. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity. I mean, that, what did we call it during COVID? Safari, CAMPfire Tales, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was your idea.
Yeah.
You guys started that.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic at a tricky time.
It's been amazing, Lloyd, and I will quickly just share the story of how you were the instigation of me meeting Carmen. So in November 2019, I strangely went to go and vote. It was a local election, and I came out of the polling booth, and you were trying to take a selfie of yourself. That's right. And I offered to help you do that, and then I heard your accent, and we became friends. And
that's right.
Yeah. So
I was super excited because I got citizenship, and I was able to vote locally, and it's really important to me. And so that's hence the selfie. I was like, check me out voting.
And you realise you both went to the same school?
We went to the same high school in the same town, Alexandra High School in Pietermaritzburg,
and
separately.
Then, I just got back from a 9-day walking safari in Botswana, and you knew the guys, the guide that had taken me around, and then I met Sue, and Sue's mum was in the same nursing home as my father.
That's crazy.
And also, you had taken Carmen to my hometown in South Africa before we'd even met. I mean, they're just ridiculous.
Is that the timing of that? I can't remember that.
Yeah. So you'd taken Carmen and Perry.
That was...
We'd been before.
2016?
Something like that.
Because the book was in 15, so it's probably the year after, I think.
So we were destined.
So was it 2019 we met?
Yeah, November 2019.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Well, it's an absolute pleasure knowing you, Lloyd, and being a part of your life and sharing your adventures, even though we're not physically there.
But we are dreaming up an adventure.
Yes, and we want you to be a part of it.
Good. I'm looking forward to that. Let's do it.
And any Soulhubbers who
got
want
a plan, otherwise it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Got to have a goal.
Exactly.
I think we're good at that.
Thank you, Lloyd.
And just quickly, my final little mention is say well done to Perry for helping bring these books to life for you.
So I like the writing. I'm no good at the creating of and the technical stuff, but Perry has done it for all 3 books, and he's been astonishing at that. So we meet again in Africa.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Okay.